What's up, you beauties? Welcome to HW 3.34. I'm Jim, and I'm joined by the host of HW Full Circle, my esteemed co-host, Mr. Jack Smith, and the co-host of The Sheriff with Sean McMorrow, Kyle Warner. If you're not listening live, please make sure to subscribe and follow, and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Spreaker. Before we get into our show, let me give you a quick shout out to our affiliate sites, fullpresscoverage.com and bellyupsports.com. Belly Up Sports recently updated their site. Go check it out during our episode. They have everything you need when it comes to sports. They do what others don't. And while you're listening, feel free to check out our episode, our website, hwhockey.net. Now, guys, let's talk some Flyers hockey. There's some positives to talk about, maybe some negatives too. I want to start this out on a positive note, though. And I want to kind of get you guys juiced up a little bit. Wade Allison obviously made his debut. I think it was 3 games ago now. Looks like he belongs right away. How excited are you about, Wade Allison thus far? Scored his first goal as an NHLer on Sunday, a pretty first goal, if you will. What do you think? Are you guys is he giving you a reason to watch this Flyers team, down the stretch here?
That's exactly it. He gives me a reason to tune in. Him and Sam Morin give me a reason to tune into the Flyers. That kid has an unlimited amount of work ethic, it seems. He never stops moving. He never gives up on a play. If we could figure out how to just clone him and just have a team of Wade Allisons next year, I'd be perfectly okay with that because it would make us contenders.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, he looks good. He fits right in. He's a big-bodied kid, 23 years old, played a couple years in college. He had time to mature. Jack, what are your thoughts on Wade so far?
Yeah, I can't disagree with anything. He looks great. Seeing that compete effort is something we haven't seen here in quite a while. It's funny, like some of the compete effort that I saw with Allison, if I had to pick some players this season, Scott Lawton would be one of those players, and everybody's like hating on his contract, which I thought was funny. That being said, the game against Pittsburgh, he almost scored. That was his first career NHL game. And then in his second or third, I can't remember which one exactly. I was third because they got shut out last night. He scores and he slam dunked that, which is awesome. He's got the compete level, like you were saying, and I hope he can keep it up. I don't see why he couldn't. It was a long road for him to get to the NHL, and that's not because of his talent. That's because of injury. I think he was drafted the same draft as Carter Hart. I want to say he was the other. I could be wrong. He was a second-round pick. I believe he shared a draft status with Pascal LeBerge, I think. I'm not 100% sure. He might have been a third-rounder.
Yeah, that was a pretty good draft for Hextall there.
Yeah, right. And he's been talked about as being, and we almost lost him. There was a while where we thought him and Tanner Lazinski were going to hit, there was a lot of prospects here. And we came out and they re-signed both of them. And now we're seeing both of them. And I saw him so much watching the game, like from start to finish. I kept seeing him on the ice in almost all situations. Like the coach, Vigneault's really playing him, either that or the cameraman really was paid a lot to zone in on him, which, there's a lot of players that come up here and, from time to time, they don't zone in on him that much. He was all over the ice. He's drawing penalties. He did take a few, but he's just doing it all right now. And it's exciting to see. I really hope that he continues that play and just demands a spot on the roster. And then if Fletcher goes to the offseason in mind, I have guys I need to bring up. I need to shed some dead weight. He really takes that seriously and really starts moving people. So it's a double whammy. It's great to see a guy play and compete at this level and give us something to watch, and a guy who gives a shit about playing, and also maybe turn some gears in upper management's head. Like, yeah, we got guys we need to get in here and other guys we need to get out of here.
Yeah, so even Allison said that he was surprised with the amount of playing time that he's received from Vigneault, and good on Elaine for putting him out there. He's putting him out there on power plays. That's how he scored his goal.
Uh-oh.
Stone cold frozen.
Glass breaks.
Well, Jimmy, until you come back, I am going to eat up the dead air. So how do I do that? Very good question. Kyle.
Oh, so you throw it at me? Go ahead. I'm ready.
What are the odds the Flyers work out a deal and get Voracek to Seattle? Give me a number. Percentage, 1 to 100.
I'm going to go, there's a good 75% chance he ends up
I
in
like
Seattle.
that. I like those odds. We'll bring it up now. We talked about it on last Monday with Anthony Sanfilippo. He mentioned 8 or possibly 9 guys could be moved off of this roster. And, Wade Allison is going to probably get a spot now. So if that doesn't count, or maybe it does, give me 3 or 4 reasonable big names who could actually be moved off of this team, whether it's any scenario, trade, buyout, Seattle, anything. Just 4 big names.
Wow. So including Voracek?
Voracek would count, and it doesn't have to be that all 4 of these guys are gone. I'm just saying that potentially they all could be moved.
Voracek, I think, is definitely gone no matter what. I think they're going to find a suitor for him. Another big name that I could see going, 2 guys still young. I can see Konechny and possibly a guy like Phil Myers, who's becoming quite expendable at this point. I don't see, if he can't take a gigantic step forward, which he took a gigantic step back, it appears this year, that he's just going, I feel like he's just going to go backwards from here. I don't know how that ship gets righted. And I think that this is one of those deals where you didn't pay anything for him and you could get a lot back for him and fill a need almost immediately. So Phil Myers is definitely on that list. Travis Konechny, another one of those guys that I think you could get a lot back for in the trade market, especially if you're packaging the 2 of them. Like, you're getting a haul back. Not Taylor Hall. I meant literally a haul.
And me.
Jimmy, what happened?
Where'd you go?
Technical difficulties.
Was the doggo playing on the internet in the other room? Just took too much internet away?
I don't know what the hell happened. But yeah, what did I miss? Give me the rundown.
Well, me and Kyle discussed Wade Allison, and when it was your turn, you froze.
Oh. Yeah, maybe we'll give these guys a little bit of juice. I saw something funny, and it was a picture of Wade Allison, and it said, what does this guy do for a living? Have you seen Wade? Another ginger, long-haired ginger. He's got a nice, quarter sleeve tattoo. Just looks like he looks like he listens to Kid Rock, doesn't he?
Kid Rock.
Kid Rock, and he drinks Budweiser.
Yeah.
I don't think he's old enough.
Is he American or
Kid Rock
Canadian?
is.
Anybody know what he is? Is he Canadian or American? Not that it matters anymore.
I'll look it up.
But yeah, a good old
A
good
name
old
like
boy.
Wade Allison, you would imagine he's some Midwestern boy, but
Yeah, right. So he looks like the real deal. We heard a lot of hype about Wade for a couple of years now, and we've kind of been, I don't want to say snake bitten when it comes to hyping up prospects. I mean, I'm thinking of Morgan Frost, Nolan Patrick, and Wade Allison, I think, has had the best start out of the 3. Morgan Frost had a nice goal, but it was pretty spotty as far as play. You notice Wade Allison, like you guys said already. So let's move on a little bit here. Talk about the Flyers' last couple of games. They're 3-4-3 in their last 10. All but eliminated from the playoffs, right? I think they're 9 points back of Boston. They had a shootout win versus Pittsburgh, I think, during the week last week. 5-3 loss to the Capitals on Sunday, and a 1-0 loss in overtime to the New York Islanders yesterday. Now, they haven't looked terrible in this stretch. They're 1-1-1. They played 3 tough teams, 3 of the top teams in the division, and they managed to get 3 out of 6 points. Not terrible, but at this point, what's even the point of getting points, right? So I guess we're just watching the kids play well. We're watching Alex Lyon play goalie, and I think that's going to be a trend for the rest of the season.
It sounds so bad.
From the expectations that we had at the beginning of the year, we're watching friggin' Alex Lyon play. And, don't get me wrong. I like watching guys like Wade Allison come up and succeed, but it's not really where I thought we were going to be at this point in the year. Coming into this year, we've talked about our expectations were contending for the division. advancing past the second round. Anything less than the second round was going to be a failure, step back. And here we are, same
So
thing as always.
we predicted it. We're just playing opposites.
Yeah. So I don't know. What are you guys thinking about this team right now, about where we are? Trade deadline moves. We can talk about our episode last week with Anthony Sanfilippo. There were some juicy little tidbits in there. Let's talk, guys.
I feel like this is just being a typical Flyers fan for Philadelphia Flyers fans. I mean, you had a pretty good year last year. High expectations for another season, and they fall on their face.
It's definitely been the Flyers fans' mantra for the 20 teens with this team. Wade Allison is from Carman, Manitoba, which is Canada. Thank you, Ty. He is Canadian, so there you go. It's Midwestern Canada, so there you go. I don't know. I may have just thrown that out there, but yeah. So as far as the Flyers, this is the core, which is what we come to expect at the core of this team, which is why the core needs to change, which is why Voracek needs to go. I can give a shit what happens to Gostisbehere at this point. Giroux can stay. Couturier, I think, should stay, although there's a lot of talk on Twitter about his next contract. Me and Kyle, when Jimmy, you had your technical difficulties, I'd asked him, name me 4 players who essentially could be moved this off season through Fletcher for whatever means, big names. And we obviously have Voracek, Konechny, Phil Myers, and when he was going to come to me, I was going to throw out there potentially Nolan Patrick, although salary cap implications say that might not be a thing, but according to Anthony Sanfilippo, they really tried to move him. And then honestly, I'd be absolutely shocked if Myers and Sanheim is on this team next year. It's going to be one or the other in my eye. So I do think that there needs to be a lot of moving and shaking. Like I alluded to earlier, if Allison's going to be on the team and whoever the hell else, they need to move some guys out of here, some guys that they need to identify are not for the future of this team, don't have that drive and that compete. And yeah, we'll see what they do. He's standing behind his coaches, so we will see.
So it's interesting. Before we get to our buddy Ant to the side over here, because he proposes a trade for Seth Jones, let's talk about Sean Couturier's situation first. And to me, there's 2 sides to this coin and only 2 sides. It's if you're really serious, about this being, a weird year, a COVID year, and you think this team, is a couple pieces away and you're going to go for the Stanley Cup in the next year or 2, you need Sean Couturier. You're not a serious contender for a Stanley Cup without Sean Couturier. If your plan is not to win a Stanley Cup in the next year, 2 or 3, you should think about moving Sean Couturier. Or else you're going to do the same thing you did to him that you did to Claude Giroux, right? And if you guys want to get into Claude Giroux in a little bit later, we absolutely can. What Ron Hextall did here was perfectly fine. What he did to Claude Giroux was not. He signed him to, or Claude Giroux signed that deal, one would assume to hopefully win a Stanley Cup in Philadelphia one day. And what happened during his entire career, we didn't hear the word rebuild while Hextall was here, but it was a rebuild all through Claude Giroux's career. It was wasted, basically. If they're going to do that with Sean Couturier, they're better off trading him, right? What do you guys think?
I think your point is beyond valid, but the only thing I would change there is if you're going to compete for a Stanley Cup in the next 2 to 3 years, with or without Sean Couturier, you need to replace him with another Selke caliber player.
Right, and then how often does that happen, right? So let me just toss this out before you guys say any more here. If you trade Sean Couturier, you're not going to get equal value back. You're going to lose that trade, right? Because let's say Coots is a point per game player, which is very good if you're in the NHL, but he is an elite defensive center. Obviously, winning the Selke Trophy proves that. You're not getting that back. You're not getting a point per game player back that can play defense the way Sean Couturier did. You're going to get pieces back. You're not going to get it's not going to be a hockey trade, right? No one's going to give up premier offensive talent to acquire Sean Couturier. That's just not going to happen. You're going to get draft picks, you're going to get prospects, and maybe an NHL player somewhere on the roster. You're going to lose the trade, in my opinion. So I think you should sign him, knowing this. But I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Jack,
I mean, let's look at the alternative. I mean, if you trade him, you're like you said, you're not getting like some kind of stud defenseman. It's just not happening. I can't think of a team that has that kind of defenseman that they'd be willing to trade. Kind of like you go back to like when Seth Jones was traded for Ryan Johansson, like something like that. Those are incredibly rare. I don't see another team set up to, and I think both players were young. It wasn't a 30-year-old Sean Couturier who's not signed. Like I don't see that happening. If you trade him, you're getting picks. And let's be real here. Picks are great, but they're not guaranteed by any means. They're lottery tickets. Would I rather have a plethora of lottery tickets in the upcoming years or a player I know is good around a team that at least cap-wise is built to compete now? Look at the contracts of Voracek and Kevin Hayes. Even some of our younger defensemen are starting to get paid now as well, too. It makes more sense to sign Couturier, who, by the way, is a Selke winning defenseman. Those skills translate longer in your career. You could play to 36, 37 and still be an effective player. Look at Patrice Bergeron. He's like exactly like the guy. You want to tell me Bergeron's better? Fine. Okay. But he's still pretty damn good and pretty close. He just won a Selke last year. It's not like he did it 4 years ago. He just won it last year. He's a very good player. He's not going to – I really honestly believe at this point he's not making over $10 million. I think 10 is the absolute limit for him. I don't even know if it's an 8-year deal. I think it's going to be – they're going to have to play a little bit of hardball here, not just be pushovers. But I don't see any reason why they would trade him simply for what they would get back and what it would mean for their team moving forward outside of a full-blown rebuild, which we know they're not going to do.
I'm curious to see how contracts are doled out, given that we have the flat cap for the next 2 years. I wonder if that affects, contracts for guys like Sean Couturier.
I mean, it could. I mean, if Fletcher is smart, and this goes with the Lawton signing as well, because Lawton's a guy you want on your team. You can cry about the contract all you want, but he got.
I don't understand how anybody's crying about that contract.
It's what I see. It's the 5 years. It's a long length, which but
it's a tradable contract.
Exactly. And that's what I brought up on Full Circle. Like he's 27, 28. It's not like he's 30 and he signed a 5-year deal. Like he'll be 32 by the time that deal's over. And like 3 years into that, it's a tradable deal. It's 100% an easily tradable deal. It's a player the teams covet, who the compete level of his offensive skill at times can play all through up and down your lineup. It's a tradable contract. Mm-hmm. The reason people I think are complaining is because of the other contracts we have on this team. That's where Fletcher needs to come in and start cutting some dead weight, and this is the offseason to do it. Between the expansion draft, the draft itself, and the offseason in general, deals need to be made. Not to mention the flat cap's not going to be around forever. Eventually, he's going to come back, and we're going to have more money to play with. The guys that we thought we were going to have to factor into our long-term plans, like Patrick and whatnot, and even some guys that are in our long-term plans, they're not going to get the money we thought they were going to get because the team's so shit. So that's not as much as an issue. So I think they need to – Fletcher is okay signing Couturier, signing Lawton. He needs to get rid of the guys who don't need to be here. And there's plenty of them. Yeah, I mean, let's be real. You could go throughout the line. The only guy that I truly believe they're stuck with is Kevin Hayes. And hopefully that turns around. I don't know. He got one really good year and one bad year. Around. So it's tough. I mean, I think he might be a guy if the team's winning. Maybe you see more of what we saw last year. I don't know yet. I've got 1-1 of what we've seen. So it's really tough. I hope he does, but we are stuck with him regardless. Anybody else you got to act now on Voracek, but you could get out of these contracts. And you'll have to see going forward. So I don't get trading Couturier by any stretch of the imagination. Go ahead.
If you have to eat any of Voracek's cap to get him out, would you?
Not past the next year or the year after that. That's my limit.
Well, I don't think that's allowed, right? You can't just be like, we're only retaining.
However you can in the language of the deal. It's how you set it up. There's no like rules, like you're gonna,
I mean, all I'm saying is if I have to retain 1.5 of his contract to get rid of it
for 5 years. Or for just
better than 8.25 for 5.
Yeah, I mean, but that's where it's like, why not just buy him out? It's like you have to look
You
at.
don't have a buyout, do you?
No, you
Can't
can
just-
buy whoever they want, and it would be dead cap. Like that's like what we did with McDonald. Like it got split up over 2 years because he only had a year left. He was $5 million. It was like 1.4 the first
Yeah,
year.
but
and
wouldn't that equate to more than 1.5 if you
it
buy
would
out
be, it would be
825
one.
for
It would be. It wouldn't. I think somebody did it, and it was. I can't remember the exact number, but it was in the 2 range, like 2.3.
That's what I mean. So if you got to eat 1.5,
if
and
that
not buy
team
him
is
out.
willing to do that, maybe they want more. I don't know. I'm hoping we don't have to. I'd rather give up draft capital because they need as much cap as they can get. It's a flat cap error, and to be paying an extra, fourth line winger salary for that long is tough. I mean, is it worth getting rid of him? Maybe. Get him off the team, yes, but like with that cap, I don't know how much I trust them to make the right decisions across the board and get rid of everybody that needs to be gotten rid of. That's part of the problem. I would hope that he can just go to Seattle and give them a pick or a prospect that we're not too interested in, and that's that. That's the best scenario for me.
I'm going to go back to Scott Laughton a little bit here. I'm going to assume that anyone bitching about a $3 million a year contract, no matter the length of the contract, for over a player who does, what Scott Laughton does for this team, what he brings to the locker room, the kind of energy that he provides. He can put the puck in the net. He can play up on the second line, play all the way down on the fourth line, play wing, play center. You're gonna cry about $3 million a year for 5 years. If anything, the Flyers need more Scott Laughtons. So, we touched on it a little bit last week with Ant San when he said, there are some people who watch the game and they want to see the guys who score the goals and make the spin moves and do the fun things once in a while. And I think these people don't appreciate players like Scott Laughton, right? They don't appreciate a guy who has no problem playing with Kevin Hayes on the second line 1 week and then going down and playing on the fourth line with whoever the hell's with Michael Raffl and Nicholas Aube-Kubel the next week. There's egos involved here. There's there's intangibles involved. These guys don't necessarily grow on trees. Not every player in the league can be a good fourth line player and be an effective second line player. So it's not necessarily an insult, but it's not everything's fun when it comes to hockey and sports. Not everybody's going to score 20 goals. Some guys got to do the tough stuff. Scott Laughton for me is one of those guys, So that contract, I thought it was perfect for Scott Laughton. I thought it was definitely a hometown discount. Now, I'm sure the years probably helped a little bit with that. 5 years, $3 million, $15 million contract for Scott Laughton. That's great. Good for him. But what were your guys' overall thoughts and opinions? I mean, you've had a week now to kind of let that soak in. Kyle, what are your thoughts on a 5-year deal for Scott Laughton?
Again, my initial thought was 5 years seems a bit long, but with no movement clause, no trade clauses, it's a movable contract in a couple of years if you need to move him for whatever reason. He's a guy who plays up and down your lineup. He's a guy who plays with grit. He's a guy who plays with heart, which is what the team lacks. So I'm not mad at it. 3 mil seems about fair. I mean, What was he making last year? 2.3, 2.4?
Yeah.
It's a nice little bump in pay. He deserves it. He earned it. I mean, if you guys recall, after last season, we were worried he was playing himself out of Philly. He was playing so well, and we were all going, oh, crap, he's going to get 5, maybe 5.5 mil, and we can't afford that. And you lock him up at 3 for 5, that's a more doable contract. You can slide pieces around with that deal. Yeah,
they need more contracts like that, more team-friendly deals. I think Scott Laughton did him a favor. He could have easily got at least 4.5 or, like you said, 5.5. So I thought it was a pretty bargain deal. I mean, he's 26 years old. They're going to have him throughout the rest of his 20s, his prime years. He'll be 31 when that deal expires. And, 31 is still, seemingly young for a hockey player.
I also wanted to bring up like you said, there's a bunch of guys who watch and they just want to see the spinoramas and the Connor McDavid type plays.
Yeah.
These are the same people who said the Flyers don't need any goons and don't need any grit and don't need any physical play. And they've been getting pushed around the entire year.
Don't
I'm
get
just
me started,
saying.
Kyle.
I'm just
Don't.
saying, dude. I'm just saying. And then finally, Sam Morin comes into the lineup, and you know what? Everybody in Philly was cheering.
Yeah. I've mentioned it on past shows. I tried to play ball. I tried to let these guys, make their points. And okay, let's see if there's any validity to what they're saying. Let's see if hockey's just a game of analytics. Let's see if you can throw out a bunch of 160 pounds soaking wet, guys that have more feminine qualities than male qualities. Let's see.
Yeah, canceled, Jim. Careful.
Well, all I'm saying is they got a bunch of pretty boys on this team who are 160 pounds soaking wet, and all these guys, all four lines are scoring lines. They're all going to go in and score goals. That's not going to happen. And you're seeing it. We said it in the beginning of the year. The way that this season was set up was going to be a major issue for this Flyers roster. Why? Because the Capitals are bigger. The Bruins are bigger. The Islanders are bigger, right? We thought maybe the Penguins, I thought they were going to fall off a little bit this year. Surprisingly or unsurprisingly, however you want to look at it, the Penguins are playing very well, and the usual suspects are driving that bus. The Flyers are just getting manhandled all year. Now, you can bring up COVID and this and that. COVID or not, this team was going to get the brakes beat off them all season long, and it's happening, right? The Sabres are bigger than the Flyers, beating the brakes off them. It doesn't matter how much skill you have. If you're getting bodied, if you're getting pushed off the puck, if you don't have the puck, you can't score. They're just getting destroyed. So all this analytics stuff, dude, I tried to.
They don't hit anybody when they don't have the puck. And it's like,
right.
At least hit the guy. Like instead, we get the flyby poke check and then the big circle back. Like, dude.
Yeah. It's just pathetic, dude. It's so tough to watch. It's the opposite of what we're used to watching. We're used to being, if we're not going to win, at least we're, the team's going to play hard. They're going to, play physical. It's just the most boring shit that I've ever seen. We've all said it. We'd rather watch the 2006, 2007 team over this team.
And they were dog crap. They were the worst team in the league by a long shot. But guess what? That TV was on every single game because Riley Cote, Ben Eager, Tristan Grant, these guys all played, man. So I had something to watch. Todd Fedoruk was on that team. I had something to watch.
That team would kick the shit out of this team and win the game,
Yep. Well, they wouldn't win.
No, not 7. They would. No.
Yeah, where were we going with that? You got me on
you went on a tangent.
Anti-analytic rant. Dude, because I tried to be like, okay, let's give these nerds a chance here. Let's see.
We gave them a chance. They got a whole year. They got a whole year.
What I understand is like everything is a piece of the puzzle of the recipe. But those guys, they're married to analytics and only analytics, and it's like.
But it's Corsi, Jack. His Corsi's so good. His goals per 60 minutes. His goals per 60 minutes, he has 1.2 goals per 60 minutes. Then how come he has 3 goals?
Yeah.
There's a new flavor of the analytical week based on which team wins the cup. Like the Kings were big with Corsi, so Corsi was the talk of the town. And then other teams started winning in other ways because this league is constantly changing. It's like, oh, what's the next stat? Now I'm seeing stuff that I can't even pronounce. It's it looks like a computer code. It's like a percentage sign, a couple of dollar signs, and at sign. I'm like, okay, I guess that's some kind of. I don't know what that is. I don't feel like reading this.
Flyers goals against is just a pi symbol, just the infinity. Sign never ends.
I think those stats, if I were building a team, are reasonable. It would be a part of my portfolio, but it wouldn't be the whole thing. It's a piece. It's something.
Thanks, Chris. Need to shove those 20-year-old analytic nerds in the fucking mailbox.
Why the
Jesus.
mailbox?
That's what got me. I was like, oh
Yeah,
shit.
mailbox. I thought he was
Small
like up
space.
somebody's ass or something. The mailbox.
Oh man, let's curve this a little bit here because I could go on and on about these analytic guys. It's really misplaced rage. It's not their fault the Flyers stink, but the Flyers have proved analytics wrong. The Flyers are, just
Because analytics are a joke, man.
they are.
They come into play at certain times. Certain times analytics are good quality to look at, right? But when you're building a hockey team, analytics is only going to get you in trouble. Just like the Moneyball team. Yeah, you can run out all the analytics you want in the world, but guess what you're not going to do? You're not going to win the championship.
Yeah.
You're not going to.
Yeah, because if you see on the analytic thing, oh, this guy's Corsi's high. He likes to get pucks towards the net. Well, I'll just take away time and space. I'll body him up. He's not going to be shooting shit. That's how you cancel that out.
Well,
Real
it's funny
quick.
you brought up Moneyball. Did you guys see Moneyball 2 or 3?
Great
where they
movie.
did the same exact thing they did in 1?
Mm-mm.
Me neither, because they didn't make those movies. They didn't do that.
Good. I was like, shit, I got something to watch later. Guess not. Let's get to this point real quick before we get too far away from it from Anthemeo here. Only 3 more weeks of this, and then it's over, thank God. On a serious note, what would you have to give up to get Seth Jones? So, Ant asks, would a first, Patrick, and Morgan Frost get him here, or do you think
No.
you need to give up more? Yeah, go ahead.
You're gonna
Pat,
have to
take
give
it
up
away.
more. You're gonna have to give up more than that.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to give up a first, Patrick, Frost, Konechny, and Zamula in order for them to even consider sending Seth Jones here. That being said, isn't Seth Jones's contract getting ready to expire as well?
I think it's
Are you-
after next year, I think.
Yeah, are you really willing to give up 5 pieces for a guy who may go, I'm not signing back in Philly? I don't know.
Mean, if I did it, he would sign a deal based on the trade, which has been done before. Because you're right, I'm not doing that and hoping I can sign him. It would have to be part of the trade talks. If the Columbus even wants to trade with Philly, we're in the same division. Like, they after the COVID's over, we're going back. So I don't know. What I would take Seth Jones in a heartbeat, but if I'm Columbus, I'm looking at some of our best players, like without cap. I know the Flyers wouldn't do this, but I'm like, yeah, I want Joel Farabee. Like, I want Provorov or something like that. Like, and we'll whittle them down. But the idea that we're getting away with some guys that kind of we're trying to looking to get rid of, that we're okay getting rid of, and we'll throw a first round pick in there. It just doesn't happen that way. It's like you got to look at it from their view, and they're going to be like, we need to get an absolute haul for this guy. Our team might be the Hartford Whalers if we don't do this right, because they're going to be in a lot of trouble if they lose Seth Jones for junk.
Yeah. Now, I'm not exactly sure of Columbus's roster. I'm sure I could look it up real quick here, but I would assume they would be looking for a replacement for Jones. And Jack, you mentioned maybe they'd start with Provorov and work their way down. If I was the GM, if I was Chuck Fletcher, I would be comfortable including Phil Myers in that trade, even though, as myself, I like Phil Myers. I don't really want to trade him, but if it means getting a top pairing partner for Ivan Provorov,
which they need.
Yeah, exactly. I'll include Phil Myers. Obviously, you're going to have to put more into that package. Phil Myers, a top prospect, and, a first round pick or 2. I'm not sure. But he's a guy that I would feel comfortable including in a trade, because he's going to be at best your second pairing defenseman. He's showing this year. Maybe maybe we're seeing why he went undrafted. Can he fix these issues? Maybe. But with Seth Jones, as we all know, what you're getting. You're getting an undisputed top pairing guy to play with Ivan Provorov.
And would fix your power play.
Yeah. To answer Anthony's question, you have to add
a lot.
I don't.
A lot.
It needs a significantly good player that none of us want to part with. Really, that needs to be in the deal.
I think right now Morgan Frost and Nolan Patrick have a very little to no trade value.
I mean, honestly, Myers lost value too at this point. And it's tough. It's like, what player has that kind of value?
But on the bright side with Myers, which you don't have with Patrick and Frost, is Myers does have one solid. Last year was a solid year for Myers. He was headed in the right direction, and you can sell it as this year the whole team is trash.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not going to be like I
just-
feel. What I'm saying is, I just feel like teams wouldn't take as much stock in this season's Phil Myers as we are because we watch him every night.
and I don't disagree with that. They're not going to throw out last year either. But at the same time, we look at Myers when he was having a good year. He was a top 4D. So if I'm Columbus, I want more than just a top 4D. On top of that, he had a very bad season this year. So now I'm like, well, is he really a top 4D? Maybe. Or is he a second pairing that needs a better defensive partner with him? I don't really know now. Before I was like, I could get away with this. Now I'm not so sure. Now, if you sent me a package of Frost, Patrick, Myers, and a first-round pick, unless I am 100% certain Seth Jones is hitting the free agent market, I don't know. I might look elsewhere before I pull that trigger.
Yeah.
And that could be a problem too. Who wouldn't want Seth Jones? Now you're in a bidding war.
And you got other teams that may have the ability to fill the bill a little more than we're willing to part. Because honestly, when I see that right off the bat, Seth Jones, I see a guy like Konechny and Zamula and Myers and Patrick, and Frost and a first. You are giving up a haul and a half for a bona fide number one NHL defenseman.
Yeah, you're giving up a lot. And it might even, if they really wanted to and they don't want a bunch of pieces and they focused in on somebody, they might say, we're not moving the needle with you guys unless this guy's involved in the deal.
The easiest way to look at it for me is put yourself in the Flyers GM shoes and ask yourself honestly, what would you want back for Ivan Provorov, who doesn't nearly have the resume Seth Jones does?
I think first and foremost, you're looking for a replacement on D, or at least somebody that can eventually grow into his role, which I would assuming that teams look at Phil Myers, or, I don't think the Flyers want to trade Sanheim. That's why I didn't, include him in there. I would say Phil Myers is that piece that you would, include in a deal, not just trade straight up for Seth Jones. But he's a guy that if I was Columbus, I'm asking the Flyers, I'm not doing any sort of deal unless this guy is included. And you're going to have to add a lot more on top of that. And, remember the fact that these teams are in the same division, you would think, again, next year. So, do they want to play Seth Jones 4 times a year, whatever they're going to be playing? Probably not.
I sure hope not, Christopher. I sure hope not.
No, it kind of defeats the purpose. They're looking for somebody to play with Provorov. They're not going to move him out, bring somebody else in, even if that player is better than him. But they want somebody to play with Provorov.
Could you imagine if Chuck's just like, I can't find this guy a fucking partner. Let me just get rid of his ass.
It would just be moving. It'd be like musical chairs.
It would be the Carter Richards deal. We would all be heartbroken.
It'd be easier if I just get rid of this guy.
Well, it would just be moving the chairs around, really. Maybe the guy we bring in is better, but you still have a lot of holes. We got to fill the holes, not make a new hole and fill another.
So somebody mentioned TK earlier, Kyle. I think it was you. Here's a question for you guys. Guys scored an elite rate per 60, but in a whole season get 24 goals. Who am I talking about?
Jake Voracek.
That is the one and only Travis Konechny. Another analytical thing.
Did you use this before?
No, that's
been
a
why
thing.
You knew that, Jimmy?
What?
You knew the answer to that? Is that your guess?
No, that's Travis Konechny. That's his season average for goals the last 3 years, 24 goals. Hasn't scored over 24 goals, but he's an elite top winger, apparently.
And that's why everybody hates him.
Well, yeah, because it's always
everybody.
It's always
everybody hates him.
Poor guy. I think that's the misconception there, because I always say I like Travis Konechny, but people talk about him like he's Alex Ovechkin. The guy's never scored over 24 goals in a season.
I think a lot of the haters talk about him like he's Ovechkin. What? He sucks. He needs to be doing more. I really think when he signed that deal and had that breakout season, it's one of the worst things on the fan side that happened for him. Now they expect this elite, production. And I don't think he's there yet. He's still a young guy. Like I don't see that. And he's a piece that goes on a line that makes that a complementary piece. That he's a complementary
Exactly.
to a stud, and we don't have the stud, so he's just kind of
Exactly.
floating in space, and he'll chip in every now and then, but ultimately he doesn't bring a whole lot else.
Exactly.
And the face making is fun, but like, is he really going to drop the gloves? The guy, like, no. So I don't hate his deal. Would I move him? Yeah, I would absolutely move him if the trade was good for the Flyers, but I don't hate him either. Like people are very quick to hate him. I'm not there.
Everything
I
you
don't
just
hate-
said is perfectly fine. Go ahead, Kyle. Sorry.
I don't hate Konechny, but I feel like at this point, is he going to be what we want or need him to be? Like, is there a definitive case for either or? Like, if you guys had to lean one way or the other, would you go, okay, Konechny can repeat his contract season?
I think
What do
you
you
can.
get, like 28 goals? I think so.
24.
Yeah,
He's never scored over 24
Oh,
goals.
you get hurt? I can't remember. It was late. Yeah, it was
66
last year,
points, I
right?
believe. Yeah, 24 goals, 66 points.
Oh yeah,
In a shortened season. So he would have
yeah.
scored more than 24.
I think we projected
been-
it and it was around 30, 28, something like that. Absolutely. I mean, guys get hot and they can go off and, but I think it's up to Fletcher if he decides he's going to keep Konechny, he needs to get players in here who can play with him. Like that, you got to understand the pieces you have. You can't just add a bunch of the same player and hope it works out because that's just not how it works. And that's where I agree with you guys. Like they need guys who can, throw the body around, win the board battles, and get guys like Konechny the puck in a premium position to shoot and score. Ovechkin's great. He also shoots from a very wide open spot a lot. Like that does wonders.
He
for
doesn't move.
Yeah,
On the power play, he
really
just stands
doesn't.
in
And
one
everybody
spot.
knows he doesn't move. Everybody knows it. But even at 5-on-5, Ovechkin has a way of finding himself wide open. Guys like Voracek
Not only
really
that,
struggle to
but
get him the puck.
not only that, but Ovechkin has the work ethic on 5-on-5 of a horse.
Yeah,
That
I mean,
dude
he also
doesn't
plays
stop.
with one of the he plays with one of the best centers in league for the time he's played. Backstrom has been his center for years, like 10 years. Like that's insane. Like it's a very good center. Like they have a lot of talent with the Capitals. They're always adding. Like the Flyers. Like for Christ's sake, we had Michael Raffl on our top line for a couple of years.
Oof.
I mean, we really haven't had studs. We don't have Ovechkin, obviously. I'm name dropping a generational player. As much as we love Giroux, he's a borderline Hall of Famer.
I think are we all in the same boat here of getting rid of our first round pick in this year's draft? Because it'll be a half decent pick. It'll be worth something to somebody. I don't know who.
I certainly hope Seattle covets it.
Yeah.
Or whoever we're trading, honestly, because I think we need to. Or if you're winning now, you're trading your first round pick. Guys are trading their first round picks this year for a rental for a shot at the playoffs. If we're doing it to rebuild our team and remold our team with all the prospects we have, then we absolutely need to, especially in a draft like this where there's so much uncertainty.
I don't think the teams that have traded first round picks are going for the playoffs as much as they're going for the cup.
Playoffs, cups, what's the difference? I'm just going for the playoffs, but if we go too far, we're going to stop. Like, no, same thing, same difference. Boston,
Yeah,
Boston got
I'm talking about cup contenders is
no difference. I mean, if they're going not trying to make the playoffs like the Islanders, they gave up for. Do I think they're a cup contender? They've slipped off a bit. Like I much like teams like Toronto, Colorado, and Vegas better than them, but they're still going for it. They gave up a first round pick, so that's what I'm referring to. If you're giving up a first round pick at the trade deadline, you're going for something. We've seen the Flyers trade a first round pick for Christopher Stieg. Do you really think that's putting them over? No, but they did it because they're going for something. So I hope that we can trade our pick in the offseason to a team that thinks that they can legitimately make some noise.
I just can't wait for us to trade somebody or a couple. Well, I think we're going to trade more than one player, obviously. I thought the Fletcher presser was a little obvious or leaning towards that. Yeah, don't say that 5 times fast.
Just a new phrase for me. Fletcher.
So I know what's going to happen, though, is we're going to get rid of a guy like Phil Myers, and he's going to win the fucking Norris Trophy. Like, I just know it because that's what the Flyers do. They
I
groom
really
these
like Phil
kids.
Myers.
I know they groom these kids and then they get rid of them and then they go on to win cups and Norris trophies and Conn Smites. They get
Yeah.
nicknames like Mr. Game 7.
Yeah. I mean, you know what's funny though? If we don't trade them, I feel like the result here in Philly will stay the same. We'll just ruin their careers. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, this organization gives
The
me an
losing
aneurysm.
culture in this city right now for the Flyers. Like and it's the core. Like the core is what means most to me. If they somehow ran it back and they still had Konechny and they still had Myers and Sanheim, but they got rid of like Ghost and Voracek, I would be okay with that at a very small level. I would be like, okay. But there are certain pieces. I mean, Ghost isn't bad for the locker room. It's more of a financial thing. But like Voracek, like if they moved on, and because that's like a lot of almost $20 million. Well, no, I'm sorry. 4, 8. That's like $13 million. I'm assuming they move other guys. That's a lot of money to like add a defenseman or do whatever you got to do with. And then maybe things turn around and these guys start to come back into what we saw last year. I'm okay with that. You know, I could get behind that, but they got to change. They got to shake up this core, and it can't be a small piece. It needs to be
Do
a
you
big
think? Again, I know we've brought it up multiple times. The Calgary, especially, needs a core shakeup as much as the Flyers need a core shakeup. I think what was it? They went through 5 coaches in the last 6 years. That doesn't sound like a coaching problem anymore. Again, same deal with the Flyers. Sounds like a core issue.
Don't they have
Do you-
Sutter up there now? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, the goofiest looking person I've ever seen.
And he wins.
He got 2 cups.
Wins
yeah.
cups.
Yeah.
They can't. I don't,
But
I
do
think
you
he
guys-
retired him though.
Can you guys see some core pieces moved for some other core pieces? Or do you guys want to see a complete like gutting of the core and restarting fresh? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
I thought they were going to reshuffle, not retool or rebuild. I thought they were going to I honestly thought Taylor Hall was going to go to Calgary. I thought he loved that. I thought they were going to make room for him. They couldn't do it this offseason, so he's going to bide his time in Buffalo and get paid and go somewhere else. But it sounds like he's going to resign in Boston. So now I'm not sure. Unless they can trade with a team like the Flyers and swap some core players out, if the money works, I don't know what else they do. They seem to really want – they already traded Bennett. They seem to really want to move on from Monahan and Gaudreau. I do believe they have the same GM there. In his first year, he drafted Bennett. So if he trades Bennett, it's kind of like an admission of failure. But certain guys have pride and don't want to do that. Other GMs are like, yeah, we need to move on if we're going to have a chance to win. So I don't know what that is in Calgary right now. So we'll have to see. Is there a deal to be made between us and them? Yeah. If you want to talk about the closest thing to a hockey trade, a big one at that, it would be between the Calgary Flames and the Flyers. But we've been talking about it for like 4 years and nothing has happened. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know I don't want to see that as much as other people want to see it. To me, it's just
You hate them. You hate them.
it's just it's like
I hate hockey. My name's Jim.
that to me that just feels like a change just for the hell of a change. You know, it's like
Well, I
we'll
mean,
just-
I wouldn't go that far, though. I mean, some players do just need a change of scenery. We've seen it happen hundreds of times in the NHL, have we not? It just happened with Taylor Hall. Couldn't produce worth of shit in Buffalo, goes to Boston and can produce now. He's got just as many points now with the Boston Bruins in 5 games that he had with Buffalo the entire season.
I mean, that's
Sure.
a really good point. It's true. He really did have like no points in Buffalo. It's ridiculous. He gets the Boston scores in his first game, you know. And
If we're talking about a core for core move, I think Calgary obviously makes the most sense. I have no idea if there was ever even a phone call to Calgary. I'm sure there was. Maybe something got set up for the offseason. Maybe it's
here's
going to
my
be.
question. Go ahead, Jim.
I mean, for me, the most desirable player from Calgary that I'd want would be Monahan. You guys know I
Me
want
too.
nothing. I don't want anything to do with Gaudreau.
I
So
would love that, Monahan.
let's say they are working out a trade for Monahan. Who's going the other way?
I don't
Just
care.
Monahan?
No, well, I mean, like,
I don't
you know,
care.
let's
Send
try. Let's
Konechny.
all right, but so then where's Monahan going to play? Is it going to be a 3C or a 2C?
I think no. It's probably if that were the case, we've seen deals in the past be suggested. I mean, Gaudreau's always involved in them, but I can't see JVR or Jake going the other way financially, only financially speaking. So it would be like Konechny. They're going to want a defenseman, especially if we're getting Gaudreau as well. So Sanheimer Myers will probably be also going the other way. And then, like, at that point, maybe Patrick. I mean, I could see it happening. If they want to get rid of him as much as we've been led to believe they do, then absolutely Patrick's in that deal. And then you got your centers right there. Lawton can play wing or center. I think at this point, I'd rather see some of the young kids play some center, especially like Lozinski.
I think, Jim, like you said, third line center, but I think it would be a battle in camp. Who gets the second line center spot between him and Kevin Hayes? Kevin Hayes, meh.
I
wouldn't mind sliding
that they signed Kevin Hayes, and they thought that Patrick would eventually be the second line center, so they're prepared for Kevin Hayes to be a third line center anyway. So Monahan,
$7 million.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a free agent deal, but it is what it is. Hey, let's be real. Like, did you not want Patrick to take that step? I mean, then you have three really good centers. I mean, look at the Islanders; they got four of them, and they're pretty damn good. So, I mean, financially it's not perfect, but like, would I hope that Monahan would beat him out, even if he doesn't do it out of camp and just overtakes him during the season? At least there's legitimate pressure on Hayes. What kind of pressure does Hayes have now? That's why he's so lackadaisical. Like, he's like, who's pushing me? Noel Patrick? That's fucking hysterical. Like, he's doing whatever he wants, and there's no actual challenge.
Naughty.
Oh, I said the bad word. I said Patrick.
Real quick for the listeners here, we have a game that we're playing here at High and Wide, and really the reward is for the listeners. If we were just going to do it for Kyle, but apparently maybe we should do it as a show. If
I've been good. I haven't said that dirty word in 2 shows now.
That's your streak. I hope you're keeping count over there. The no F word streak. So
you gotta remind me at the beginning of the show. This isn't fair.
We're trying to keep our F words down, and if we go to under 5 fucks a show, what's that 2? We're gonna give away.
That's 3. You read the comment earlier.
Okay,
you said it first.
If we're under 5 F words a show, we'll give away a T-shirt to a lucky live listener / viewer. That's our new little contest, and right now we're at 3. So hopefully we're able to give away.
You had
a T-shirt.
Hartnell down. We have T-shirt fucks given.
There's 4.
God dang it.
Hey, 52 and a half minutes. Got to make it interesting.
Kyle's changing his whole vocab. Just said, God dang it.
Yep. I'm not cursing anymore.
Man. I love it.
Can we make it? We're towards the end of the show. Can we make it? We have 1 left.
We're at 4.
Don't do it, Kyle.
I'm not.
We and Jimmy.
Don't look at me.
2.
I'm an angel. I turned a new leaf.
All right, shut the front door. Let's.
Ooh.
So we're kind of coming towards the end of the show. We have about 10 or so minutes left here. I was working on a little bit of a topic last night. I was bored, couldn't sleep. So I'm going to start some power rankings up here. I have 10 teams. I want to hear what you guys think here. I tried to be a little bit objective. We'll start. Let's start with number 1. Okay. And the best team, most exciting team in the National Hockey League right now and all year long, in my opinion, they have
Philadelphia Flyers. I'm sorry. Wait, what?
yeah, you wish, right?
It's exciting for every other team to play us. It's gonna count for something.
Yo, real quick, little tangent. Have you seen all this BS on like Twitter and whatnot about like 4 Rangers players being in the top 5 in scoring within the last month? And I'm like, hello, they played the Philadelphia Flyers like 3 times in that span. Yeah, like it's like Zibanejad's at the top, Panarin's at the top.
They were only averaging 9 goals a game against us.
I know, dude. It's like, okay, like hold your guns a little bit here. They scored 15 goals against the Flyers in 2 games. No, more than that. I think 17 goals in 2 games. Like, Jesus. Yeah, so I think that's a joke. But yeah, the team that I'm talking about here is Colorado Avalanche. They have guys like Mikko Rantanen, who's an outstanding player in his own right, a great captain in Gabe Landeskog, and obviously one of the best players in the NHL, Nathan McKinnon. And, they have incredible depth. They have guys like Cale Makar, but guys like Sam Girard and Devin Taves, an offseason acquisition, can also carry the load on D. And they're playing outstanding hockey, 39-4. They're my number one pick for the top of our first ever power rankings. What do you guys think about that? Do you object? Do you agree? I'm just curious to hear your thoughts.
Wait, who?
Colorado Avalanche.
Well, they are number one in points, so it's hard to argue.
Yeah.
What's funny is we did our rankings earlier, and I actually had Vegas above them in their division, and they are literally tied at the top of the league, those two teams. The only reason Colorado's ahead is they played one less game. So I think we were on to something.
You know what's
go ahead.
What's odd is I haven't heard anything about Vegas this year. I know they're having another solid season, a very good season, but I feel like they're not being forced down your throat as much as they were the first two seasons they played in the league.
That's true. Good point.
Maybe hopefully that's dying out and we can stop hearing
just
about
another
it.
team
They're
now,
diehard
right?
fans.
Thank God.
You know what?
All those lifelong
Yeah,
Vegas fans.
They really went through some heartache. That's probably why there's not enough of them out there to force it down your throat. They lost it.
Yeah.
You know who I would like number 2 on that list, Jim? And you can tell me who it is. And it's not Vegas for me.
Go ahead.
I've been thoroughly impressed with the
I know who you're
Carolina.
going to say. I love it. Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
I have
I-
him number 2.
Do you really? I mean, that's my number 2. Like, I agree
Yep.
110-fold. Like, it's just, can you imagine if they had a legitimate goalie on this team? I mean,
Yeah.
I know that Mrazek has played solid. But, like-
Nedeljkovic, too. They're rookie.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Playing
they've
very
stepped
well.
up. And it's something we didn't get to talk about, but we had talked about Brind'Amour as a coach and how he potentially in my mind, he's either going to re-sign with the Hurricanes, but they are very, very cheap. And so he might go to Seattle because their old GM was not Rutherford. I can't remember who it was. It's he was the old GM of the Hurricanes, and I think Brind'Amour actually played under him. So it wouldn't surprise me if he gets screwed by the Hurricanes with finances because he's he's in the bottom 3 of coaches in the league. Bottom 3, as good as he's been. So,
Around the bottom.
Flyers popped up in rumors. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. He's going. Ron Francis. Thank you, Christopher McCarthy. Ron
Mhm.
Francis. Yes. He is running the Seattle Kraken. Would not surprise me. Actually, I think it should be like over 50% chance that Seattle reaches out and says, listen, they're paying you nothing in Carolina, and they don't like to pay anybody anything. Don Waddell was looking for an actual GM, and they couldn't find anybody that they could hire for less than $1 million. So he's like, I'll just be GM and president for another year. That's how cheap they are.
That's
And we all
insane.
saw what happened with Sebastian Aho and the offer sheet and all that. So I would not surprise me if Brind'Amour does wind up in Seattle. But sorry about that tangent there.
No, it's all right.
Carolina has been a lot better, and it sucks because they're a Metro team, and they'll be back with us soon. And if
What
they
was that, number 2?
Yeah,
What's
that's 2.
Oh, well, obviously Vegas is number 3, coming in on a 6-game winning streak right now.
Oh, is it, Jim?
They are. Fun fact, real quick. The Hurricanes are 8-3-1 against the Florida teams, against Tampa Bay and the
Vancouver's
Panthers.
Tampa, yeah.
Pretty damn good. So,
Wow.
yeah, number 3 is Vegas, 31-11-2. So Vegas was good even before Mark Stone, Max Pacioretty, and Alex Pietrangelo. They have arguably the best goalie tandem in the NHL, and Andre Fleury and Robin Leonard. Like, where's the weakness on this team? They're just a very good team. They have a great I really like the coach, Peter DeBoer. They're a very solid hockey team. What do you guys think about number 3?
I picked them
Yeah,
in the division that has the top team on your power rankings list, so that tells you what I think of them.
I picked them to win the cup at the beginning of the season.
There you
so.
Before you
So-
tell us the rest of your power rankings, can we guess? Just the next team.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, let's have fun.
Toronto
Yeah,
Maple
number
Leafs.
4. No, I have
Wow, okay.
Toronto a little bit further down.
Hey,
Go ahead, Jim, or Kyle, you guess.
I'm going to go with the Boston Bruins.
I
Coming
do
in
not
on a
have
four-game win streak, last 10 games, 7-2-1. For
Right.
our power rankings.
All right. If it's not the Bruins, I got 2 more teams.
I'll give you a hint.
No,
They
one.
won a
You get
Stanley
one
Cup.
pick.
What's
In the
that?
last 4 years, they won a Stanley Cup.
Well, those are both of my two choices I had. Were both of that. So I'll go with Tampa.
Yes.
Okay.
So they're the defending champs, and they're still extremely good. You know, they won the cup last year. Usually, the year after you win the cup, it's kind of like, okay, let's hurry up and just get to the playoffs so we can do it again. They're 29-13-2. Andre Vasilevsky's playing out of his mind. They added Savard at the deadline. I don't think they're as, great as last year, but they're doing all this without Kucherov. Like, let's remember that.
By
They're
design. Let's be real. That's
Right?
by design.
Yeah.
So-
you think?
They're going to add a friggin' basically what's a trade deadline acquisition.
Better than
On the-
Taylor Hall
Right. When the
Acquisition.
play, like one of the best players in the league.
in the world.
It's insane. So
In the universe.
it's, it's not even
They're going to
fair
add the
what's
best
happening.
player on the Tampa Bay Lightning. They're going to add a better player than anybody on the team.
Yeah. So I have them number 4, and they're without their best player. It's just insane. So number 5, I'll give you a hint. It's a team in the Flyers division.
Washington Capitals.
Yes. Peter Laviolette has this team scoring goals, man. He's known. Yes.
making crap up, man.
He's known for one thing, and that's offense. The Caps have that. They've scored 163 goals this year, good enough for tops in the NHL. And they are top of the Mass Mutual East Division, as you guys may have heard on our Full Circle show. Now it gets a little bit interesting. Number
Now
6
it's
on
got
the
to be
list.
Toronto. It's Toronto.
No.
Hater.
Don't tell me you went with like Minnesota.
Hold on. It's not the Islanders. They've been
You went with
stinking.
Minnesota?
No.
Tell me you went with Winnipeg because they're one of your early picks.
No, I have the
What?
Florida Panthers at
Oh, okay.
6.
Okay.
So-
all right.
So I know Aaron Ekblad got hurt, right? Guess what their record is in the 10 games since? You're not going to get it, so I'm just going to tell you.
8-2.
They're
6-3-1.
Yeah, you got it. You
Nice.
won $1 million. No, yeah, they're 6-3-1. Since Ekblad went down with that gruesome knee injury, the Panthers haven't really missed a beat. 6-3-1. They're a very deep team offensively. Barkov, I feel like, is very underrated since he plays down in Florida, where nobody gives a shit about hockey, unfortunately. And they're 20.
Unless you're in Tampa Bay.
Nobody
Unless you're
gives
Tampa
a-
Bay.
Yeah. Unless you're 4 miles this way.
So, yeah, interesting stuff there. Number 6, Florida Panthers. Number 7. Go ahead. You want to take a guess? Take a stab?
Toronto.
Nah.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
So-
goodness.
At 7, I have the team that took out Toronto in the playoffs last year. I have the New York
Columbus.
Islanders. So the Islanders arguably have the best GM coach combo in the NHL. Obviously, Sweet Lou won the GM award last year, and I believe Barry Trotz won the Jack Adams the year before.
Year
that correct?
before. Last
So-
year was Bruce Cassidy with his star-studded lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So pretty good GM coach combo there. And then, they had a very solid defensive team last year, decent goaltending with Semyon Varlamov. Now you bring Ilya Sorokin into the mix, who seemingly just never loses against the Flyers anymore. It's insane.
well, that's a lot of teams.
That's a lot of company there.
I mean, you
There's
could
a lot of
you could
first-time
probably
goalies and players that share that list.
you could probably call Dave Ayers, that emergency backup that played for Carolina,
beat the
and
Flyers?
he would probably have a shutout.
Who you had on the
Other
Sheriff,
stuff.
by the way. Quick plug.
Hey, quick plug.
Make sure you guys check out that episode. Awesome
Yeah.
stuff. All right, now let's get to number 8. Jack, go ahead.
The Toronto Maple Leafs.
I was going to say number 5. Yes, Toronto. So my little corp or whatever, I don't even know if that's a word. Toronto's fun, but I don't fully trust their goaltending. So I know what's his name up there was playing very well. Jack Campbell, I think that's
Yeah.
his name was. He was playing well for a decent stretch there.
Hey, they picked up David Rittich too.
That's true. And they have, what's his name? Frederic waiting in the
I
wings.
don't
trying
know.
to
I don't know when
figure
he's coming
things out.
back.
Yeah, so there's some question marks there.
It's a legitimate reason to drop them. I'll give you that. But they did pick up Nick Foligno.
They sure did. Yeah, maybe they get things together. Maybe it's just, some teams kind of go through it a
Did-
little bit after the trade deadline.
They picked up a defenseman too, didn't they?
No,
Yeah.
they picked up that other guy from Columbus. Oh, gee, he's hurt right now, but he'll come back for the playoffs.
Oh, Nash. They did get a
Riley
defenseman. I
Nash.
think from a West Coast team. I think from maybe Anaheim,
Thought they
Kyle.
did.
I
thought
don't remember
they
his
did,
name.
yeah.
Something
anybody
Hutton.
know?
Ben Hutton. Ben Hutton, I think it was. No, not really.
Still playing?
Yeah. At 9.
Still alive? They got Bernie Perrant.
Unfortunately, I have the Pittsburgh Penguins, so I didn't think they were going to amount to
what
anything.
Number? What number?
9. So
It's Carter.
Pittsburgh Stars, unfortunately, they look revitalized, and it's the usual
Oh,
suspects.
you mean they
leading the
look like
way.
superstars? Shocker.
Yep.
The
Crosby's
superstars
doing-
are still superstars.
Yeah. Yeah. Crosby's doing Crosby things. Letang's putting up points. Malkin's found his game a little bit. He looked really disinterested in the bubble last year and the beginning of this year. I think things are coming around a little bit for him. Jake Gensel scoring goals. What else is new in Pittsburgh? And can fuck off. Shit.
Oh,
That's it. No t-shirt today.
Jim beats Jack in the 5-game series 3-2.
Kyle, not
For
one.
McCarthy a shirt. This guy's a plethora
Not
of
one.
knowledge.
Not
Damn
one for multiple episodes.
We got to keep score here. 3.
Oh, at least he didn't say it again.
0.
I haven't even said a curse word in 2 episodes.
We are in the twilight zone.
Damn it. I'm really bummed out that I ruined that. Okay.
I feel better.
All right.
Had a close call there.
All right. Let's go to number 10 here. The last one. We
The
have.
Philadelphia Flyers.
Ah, man, I wish, right?
Philadelphia Flyers.
So, I mean, even what I put for this team could apply for the Flyers. So, this team can score, but it just feels like something's missing. You want to take a stab? They can fly.
Can score.
Also.
Now I feel like you're just talking about Toronto.
No, like their team, like the name of their team, mean they can
Oh.
actually fly, and they're not the
Oh, that's
Flyers.
the Jets.
Arizona
That's
Cardinals.
definitely the Jets.
Yes, it is the Winnipeg Jets at number 10 to round out my top 10 power rankings. Have not finished the rest. We'll attempt to make some progress tonight, maybe by our next show. But yeah, I feel like Connor Hellebuck's very good goalie up there. That Dubois trade worked out for them. I think that was a no doubt win. Because Patrick Laine. Are you guys surprised that Columbus didn't move Laine at the deadline? By the way,
I'm
No.
not 100% surprised, but what I am surprised about, there was literally no rumors leading into the trade deadline. There was
Because
just
I
no
don't,
talk.
I don't think anybody could even come close to matching the asking price for him at that point.
I mean, it seems silly. Do they really think they could re-sign him? Why, like
I
he's
don't-
destined to be a king, and maybe as a backup plan, a duck. Like, so move him for something. Like, what the hell?
yeah,
Almost
six. Yeah, I agree. I thought that was a little odd that Laine wasn't moved. So it's either Laine's leaving in the offseason or Tortorella's going to leave because they're not.
Oh,
they can't
Torts
work.
is fired.
Yeah,
Torts
they can't
is fired
work
after
together.
this year.
Yeah.
He
Just from,
scratched Max Domi tonight.
Did he really? Yeah, that was another offseason
Could you imagine
acquisition.
if
And
he
you're
was-
not going to
I
fire
think I
a
brought
coach.
this up before, but could you imagine if he was the Flyers head coach? We wouldn't have to trade anybody. Half the guys would retire.
Yeah.
We'd be good. We'd be like
That's
Seattle
true,
Kraken.
actually. Holy crap.
We just be rebuilding the team from scratch. Maybe we should bring him in.
That's good thinking there on you, Jack.
Was he going to be an assistant's coach?
Then we can finally let Terrian go. We've been talking about it for years. We can finally let Terrian go. Bring in Tortorella and just have him wreak havoc.
We got a head coach and two
And a
other
head
head
case.
coaches and another head coach.
And altogether, we have nothing but a head case and a head basket, and everything sucks.
Too many Chiefs, not enough Indians.
Too many chefs, too little of a kitchen.
Yeah. All right. I think we're at the end for this week.
Too many raviolis, not enough meatballs.
Ah, come on, dude. I'm not
Too many F words, not enough lives.
That was
Not enough t-shirts.
not enough
There you go.
T-shirts.
That's what I should have said.
Damn, dude. I really did think that we were giving away a T-shirt tonight until I ruined
Can't
that.
say the Indian one. That's like we're gonna get canceled, Jim. Stop it.
What Indian one?
First, you made the feminine remark earlier, then you
Many
said
Chiefs.
Chiefs and Indians. Like,
Yeah.
Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you?
oh,
Dots or feathers?
that was. Oh my god. Oh my god! I forgot about
I
that.
haven't said a curse word yet.
That
All
was
right.
the funniest thing I'd ever heard. That was
Let's-
hysterical.
Sign off here. The Flyers don't play till Thursday. Maybe that's a good thing. So, we don't have to waste our nights watching these guys lose hockey games. I don't know. It's supposed to be nice out the next 2 days, guys. You know the weather? I don't know the weather.
Oh, I don't know.
It's
I've
supposed to
been
be beautiful
inside.
tomorrow, 75 and sunny.
Ah, there we go. So make sure you're listening to our podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spreaker, Spotify. Give us a listen, give us a follow, subscribe. Check us out on YouTube, Twitch, whatever we're on now, Facebook, Periscope. Get outside, enjoy the weather. Oh, wait, guys. I did it again.
Oh.
Second week in a row. Why don't you promote your shows a little bit? We've had some good content coming out, Full Circle, and obviously the Sheriff. So why don't you guys talk about your shows a little bit?
Full Circle will be releasing later tomorrow, I believe.
No, it's out, buddy.
Oh,
Right
it's out. Look at that. Early release. You have early release access to Full Circle. We talked about the trade deadline acquisitions of the Mass Mutual East teams. Please check that out and what we think those teams are going to do. Cursing has been at a minimum.
Kyle, you've had some awesome guests on the Sheriff. Why don't you promote a couple of your episodes?
Yeah, so this week's an awesome week for the Sheriff. We're actually doing a double release week. Make sure you guys check that out tomorrow. The episode with Ryan Phillips, former hockey player, got in a little bit of trouble with the law. Big time rebound in his life, doing some amazing stuff right now. You guys got to check out that episode. And then Thursday, the Curtis Gabriel episode drops, and you guys are not going to want to miss that episode. It is something else.
Yep, all the episodes over there on the Sheriff are great. Curtis Gabriel's a great dude. Looking forward to listening to that one. Yeah, that's going to do it for our show here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Sorry we could not give out a t-shirt. Maybe next time we'll keep the F-bombs under 5. The tally for tonight, Jim, 3. Nice job, Jim. Jack, 2. Kyle, 0. Taking
Wow.
4
Tuesday.
tries tonight.
A complete
Not a
game
single-
shutout for
not a
Kyle Warner.
Not a
Kyle
single curse word.
Warner.
Exceptional.
I am very impressed and very disappointed in myself, but I did not take the cake. And I want to thank Christopher McCarthy. Is an absolute plethora of knowledge. I said it earlier. Look at this. He even knows when Full Circle dropped. Like, I love it. I love this guy.
Serial Killers Week, like the Oxygen.
That was
Channel.
funny too. I didn't see
I don't
that.
understand. I don't know what the joke is. What is
But
it?
it's on the Oxygen channel.
I don't know. All right. So until next time, get outside, enjoy the weather, and take your vitamins. We'll be back next week.